have before me the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme Generation 5. Now, right off the bat, I have to say that I love the look and feel and professionalism of this laptop. These ThinkPads are gorgeous. It's carbon fiber. It has a thin and fairly light chassis. It has great connectivity on the right side panel with an SD card reader, 2 USB Type A's, and on the left side panel, 2 USB Type C's, an HDMI port, and a headphone jack. So it has everything you could want for a fantastic professional on-the-go video editing, photography, graphic design, or business laptop. However, what I don't quite understand is the lack of performance that this laptop provides and the price tag that Lenovo is asking for it. I'm a huge fan of Lenovo. I think they make fantastic products. I think their Legion series is the absolute best bang for buck on the market. However, when it comes to these ThinkPads, I don't understand how they can justify a retail price point of around $3,600 for the model I have, which is the i7-12700H, RTX 3060, and 16 gigs of RAM. Not only do I feel it's overpriced, although it is on sale right now on Lenovo's website for around $2,150, I don't understand why it is not optimizing the components that are in this system, as well as something like a Lenovo Legion 5i Pro that's literally half the money. I'm just wanting to see the value. So before we move on and we get really into the in-depth review, that's my initial kind of rant. I love Lenovo, and so it's really hard for me to say this, but I want to be really honest and transparent with this review. So comment below and let me know what value you see in this laptop to merit the price tag. I mean, besides the styling, the carbon fiber, the look and feel, with the performance you're gonna see later in the video, I can't justify the price if I were gonna be in the market to purchase a laptop for myself. All right, so first and foremost, let's jump into a few things that we couldn't cover during the full unboxing. Here's a quick audio sample of the speakers in use so you can hear what they sound like. And if you did miss the unboxing, here's a quick sample of the webcam so you can see what that looks like. This is the webcam on the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme Gen 5 and a little sample of the audio for you as well. Now, I know I've discussed a lot of the different price points of this laptop, so if you're curious about the exact pricing and availability right now as you're watching this video, you can head down in the description below and click those links. Now, if you do make a purchase, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and helpful content coming your way. Now, the keyboard I really do like. It has a very nice tactile feel. They have good, soft, but snappy, responsive keys. We have full arrow keys, we have a full-size shift key, and we have upward-facing speakers, which you just had an audio sample of. Now, one of the things that I really do like about this laptop is not only do we have the 3D modeling click buttons. Basically, these buttons allow you to access different features inside of 3D modeling softwares or CAD or rendering softwares, but you also have a clickable trackpad, something that the Asus ProArt StudioBook Pro 16 OLED does not provide you. It provides you with these buttons, but the trackpad is not clickable, which drove me absolutely banana sandwich. And I'm really glad that the ThinkPad still has a clickable trackpad. Really good touch from Lenovo. Now, the next thing I want to take a look at is the battery life. And that's another area. I'm like, what in the world? How are these parts not more optimized? The battery life on this laptop was very poor comparatively to even the Legion series. It had much more control over the fan modes. All this laptop has is a setting called intelligent cooling mode, which did not provide much flexibility at all for battery life settings. Now, all intelligent cooling mode does is it takes the Windows battery setting, which can be found under Turn on Battery Settings under the Windows menu, and it changes the system preferences, fan noise, and thermal limitations based on this setting. I found that was not very valuable and did not make a big difference. And more than that, it didn't allow you to push the CPU and the GPU to its furthest potential to get the best performance, which, like I said, will be seen here in just a few minutes. So for me, I just was not impressed with this type of setup and the lack of the quiet mode, standard mode, bounce mode, performance mode that is offered inside the Lenovo Legion Vantage Center. This is the Lenovo Commercial Vantage Center. It just far more settings were in the Legion 5i Pro, the 5 Pro, and the Lenovo Legion Slim 7 and the Lenovo Legion 7. Lenovo sent us 3 Legion 5 Pros to give away once we reach 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to have an opportunity to get one of these laptops, definitely subscribe and keep an eye out on the channel because we'll launch a full video about the giveaway once we pass 100,000 subscribers. Now, the next thing to look at is the thermals. And though I've been complaining a lot about the performance of this laptop, the thermals were one area that were very good. Now, although they will give you less performance because the thermal management seems to be so prioritized, it did have good thermals. So if you want a cool and somewhat quiet laptop, you have a good pick here with the X1 Extreme. Now, the upgrade path in this laptop was good. You have access to 2 RAM sticks, you have access to 2 M.2 drives, so you have a really nice upgrade path on this laptop. So if you want to take it up to 32 or 64 gigs of RAM, you absolutely have that opportunity post-purchase. Now let's go ahead and get into the performance benchmarks of Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Extreme. As you can see right off the bat, it shows good benchmarks in Geekbench single core and a multi-core, scoring to the mid to high end of the charts. But as we move into Cinebench R20, it drops down the line. And this is where I saw some of the performance really lag, was in more of the graphics intensive tasks that were laid onto the ThinkPad X1 Extreme. Moving on to Cinebench R23, you can see that once again, it sits near the mid-range of the charts. Then as we go into multi-core, it drops down again near the lower end of the chart. Now, life is not made up of simulated benchmarks, so let's get into the Blender Classroom benchmark. And as you can see, it's pulling up last place on the Blender Classroom benchmark. It did not fare well, scoring a 511, well below even the Legion 5i Pro, about 100 points below. And as you can see, the Legion 5 Pro at a 694, more than 100 points, almost 200 points below. So really just not showing great performance, and I think it has a lot to do with the way that the components are optimized within the system and the lack of customization within the Lenovo Vantage Center. Moving on to Autodesk 3ds Max, again, bottom of the charts, and hanging around with the HP Victus, which has a Ryzen 5 5600H on my chart and an RTX 3050 Ti. So really just not showing off much at all. And it actually loses to the HP Victus in Autodesk Maya. Now moving on to PTC Creo, once again scoring the bottom of the chart, and then in SolidWorks taking up the tail end once again with the results I have here. Now, as you can see on this list, there are plenty of i7 12700H and RTX 3060 scoring much better on a lot of these 3D modeling benchmarks. And so in regards to the customization ability to get the most out of the performance of this laptop, I just was not seeing it. Now moving on to Photoshop, that was an app that actually performed fairly well, scoring a 909, very reasonable for this laptop, coming in above the latest Legion 5 Pro by about 30 points. So this is definitely a performer for Photoshop. So if you are a digital artist, graphic designer, or photographer, and you want this more premium aesthetic, you want a good quality screen, you want an SD card reader, then you'll be fine in Photoshop. It performs very well. But as you're seeing in these more 3D modeling softwares, video editing, rendering softwares like Blender, it has not fared well. Now moving on to After Effects, you can see that we're scoring a 678. Not a great score. It's okay. It's pretty good, but I would love to see in the high 800s to low 900s for a laptop, especially at this price point. Now moving on to the drop frames test, looking at 4K, 6K B-RAW, and 6K red footage, dropping about 761 frames for B-RAW. It actually wasn't too bad. I would find that very acceptable for myself if I'm editing B-RAW, but then that red footage, about 9,000 drop frames, and that's just a little too high for 2022. Those are some results we saw in 2021 before we started more optimization of the parts inside of these laptops. So not a good red footage contender, but it would be good for 4K video editing and for 6K B-RAW. Moving on to the export time, this is an area that I was quite shocked. We came in with a 6 minute and 54 second export time out of Premiere Pro. That's a 4K clip, a 9-minute 4K clip exported out of Premiere Pro. Man, I want to see laptops in the mid 2-minute range, maybe 3 minutes, but that this is almost 7 minutes. I was just surprised. I'm thinking, why can we not get more out of this laptop? Moving on to 6K video editing, you can see a 25-minute export time when the Legion 5i Pro scored a 14-minute. You can save 11 minutes on the export time by going with the Legion 5i Pro. So basically what I'm trying to get down to is Lenovo is completely capable of fast, efficient, and powerful export times. You know, the doppelganger of this laptop is, kind of the second cousin, which would be the Legion 5i Pro, 16-inch screen, i7 12700H, RTX 3060, 16 gigs of RAM. It has all the same workings. It's just placed into this laptop, and for some reason, whether it be the Vantage Center or something that they did within engineering, it just wasn't showing us the performance that we were hoping for. Lastly, with DaVinci Resolve, once again, not scoring a great score at 8 minutes and 11 seconds. Now, the color gamut range, color accuracy, and brightness on this laptop is very good. We have a 100% sRGB, 98% Adobe RGB, and 87% DCI-P3, all at a brightness of 524 nits and a 1.19 delta E. So, like I said, for graphic designers, photographers, and digital artists, this makes a great laptop. However, if you're gonna get into anything of the sorts like 3D modeling, if you're gonna get into 6K video editing, if you're gonna get into motion design, that is where this computer just seems less than optimized for those programs, especially if you're going to be an on-the-go creator. The battery life of this laptop, as mentioned earlier, just really did not show off as I had hoped. Now, if you have questions or feedback or maybe some input on how we could get better performance out of this laptop, I'd be happy to hear your comments below. But I did a lot of tweaking and finagling, trying to get better results. And for the specific use cases that I mentioned it not performing well in, I just couldn't get the results improved. I couldn't get the performance to peak up for us and just give us better results. Super curious your thoughts if you would consider this laptop. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a great design. I think it'd be something fantastic to have and to own. However, I would love to see it have better performance for the specific tasks where it seemed to have struggled. Links in the description if you're ready to make a purchase. Likes if this video has brought you some value, and subs if you don't want to miss out on the future uploads. I'll see you here in the next one.